Hi everyone, you are welcome back to our weekly lesson study. My name is Lawrence, and this week we study lesson 9, Jesus the Perfect Sacrifice. The memory text is from Hebrews chapter 10 verse 14, and it reads, "For by one offering he has perfected forever those who are being sanctified." This week we are going to look at the cross as it appears in the book of Hebrews. Kindly subscribe to this channel for new lesson every week. Thanks for your support. Now, let's get into the lesson. In the Sunday's lesson, we study why were sacrifices needed. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 15 explains that the death of Jesus as a sacrifice had the purpose of providing redemption of the sins that were committed under the first covenant. The covenant in the ancient Near East was a serious matter. It involved an exchange of promises under oath and a punishment for the one who breaks the covenant. People often killed an animal as part of the covenant. A clear example is the covenant God made with Abraham in Genesis chapter 15 verses 6 to 21. But what does Genesis chapter 15 verses 6 to 21 and Jeremiah chapter 34 verses 8 to 22 teach us about the covenant God made with Israel? We see that the covenant that God made with Israel is important because it shows us that God will give Israel the promised land, and it involved a set of commandments and the sprinkling of blood upon an altar. This sprinkling of blood shows the people what will happen to the one who breaks the covenant. When Israel broke the covenant, God faced a painful dilemma because the agreement demanded the death of the one who breaks God's law. But God loved his people. If God should simply refuse to punish the sinner, his commandments would never be enforceable. The Son of God, however, offered himself as substitute. He died on the cross in our place so that we may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Thanks to Jesus. Now, in the Monday's lesson, we study diverse kinds of sacrifices. Jesus' death provided forgiveness for our sins, but it involved much more than the cancellation of the penalty for our sins. Forgiveness includes other important parts. That is why the Israelite sacrificial system had 5 different kinds of sacrifices, and each sacrifice was necessary to show the meaning of the cross of Christ. What did Paul pray for in Ephesians chapter 3 verses 14 to 19? He prayed for the Ephesians to understand the love of Jesus, and the different offerings brought to God by the Jews in the Old Testament times helped explain this love. 1. The burnt offering. This gift was